Stop! Before you buy a home with solar, I need you to watch this video. With very little inventory on the market, it's likely that a home is going to come up that ticks all the boxes and it will have multiple offers, and you're going to have very little time to decide if this is the home for you and if you're ready to go all in on it. So just like people have a birth plan, I think you should have a solar plan. You need to spend time talking with your agent to figure out, hey, what are we going to do if it's a solar lease, if it is an owned system, or if it's a PPA, and understand how you will negotiate based on the different ways that the home is presenting the solar information. Now, if you need to write an offer with absolutely no inspection contingencies because the seller has done up all the upfront reports and one of the other buyers has waived them, you need to maybe really take some time and to slow down and make sure that you understand exactly the contract that you're going to be assuming when you take on somebody else's lease or somebody else's PPA. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, understanding the terms of solar contracts can be incredibly confusing. So today I'd like to demystify all the options. Hi, I'm Kelli Griggs. I'm the owner of Navigate Realty and El Dorado County's #1 agent. So I know a thing or two about negotiating on solar contracts. So let's break them all out today and discuss all of your options. Okay, so if you're a buyer, you want to understand, is it a lease? Is it a power purchase agreement or a PPA? Or does the seller own it outright or have a loan? And if he has a loan, will the loan be being paid off in escrow? Is it attached to the home or is it a personal loan? And the reason why that's important is because we wouldn't want the seller to default and not pay off if it was on, say, a credit card and somebody comes to your house to repo your solar system. So these are all really important questions that we need to ask. So if it's a solar lease, all leases are different. I want you to imagine, say, my husband, Jeff, and myself both walking into a car dealership to negotiate a lease. And I walk in and say, I want a brand new car with beautiful rims, a booming stereo, and I want it to be a convertible. And Jeff walks in with a budget and says, I want the same car, bare bones, at a certain price, and I don't need all the bells and whistles. Well, those payments and those leases are going to look very, very different. So when you're buying a home, you don't know what type of negotiator that former seller was when they negotiated that lease. So the first step is to get that contract and review it as thoroughly as you can. We really recommend reading the entire contract and actually calling the company to discuss some of the key points. But you might not be an expert in solar leases, so who do you call? There's not a lot of professionals that have a great understanding of current leases. And a lot of times, if you call a local company, they might try to sell you a different lease option and package. So it can become very overwhelming and very confusing. And so what do you do? Well, you're going to call me. And we're going to sit down and we're going to read through it together. And we're going to make a decision to see if you want this house enough to be married to that lease for whatever the remaining term is. It could be up to 25 years if it's a newer system. Now, the PPA sounds great. It's a power purchase agreement. So it's not really a lease, but you are committing to purchase energy from this company for whatever term that agreement is for. So while that sounds a lot better, there are questions that you need to ask. Well, will I own the system at the end of the lease? What if rates drop dramatically? What if technology changes? Are you locked into that contract forever? The likelihood is yes, you will be locked in to the end of that term. So really understanding that PPA is important too. Now, obviously, while it sounds great to have all of these options, sometimes a home without solar is great because it gives you the flexibility to make that decision for yourself and negotiate the terms that you would like to see moving forward. Let me give you a for example. So this very house that I'm standing at right now, we just recently sold and it had a PPA. So let me quickly tell you the story. They put it on 1 year ago because they were going to be saving over $250 a month on their fixed income by utilizing this power purchase agreement. When we look at how much that total was, they saved $3,000. However, the buyers of this home, they were a little cautious and didn't want to accept somebody else's negotiated PPA for a 20-year contract. So offers came in higher if the seller could have the PPA removed. In this case, they couldn't. They had an agreement. So the home actually sold for about $20,000 less than it could have sold for if it didn't have any solar on it at all. So when you look at saving $3,000 initially for a year versus losing $20,000 on the sale, had we not put on this PPA for this particular property, they probably would have come out ahead. You might come to the realization that hands down, purchasing and owning your own solar system is the best plan. But if this particular seller would have purchased the system a year ago and spent anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000, they would not get that full amount back when they sold. Maybe 20 to possibly 50 to get that system reimbursement. So again, is owning the system hands down the best plan? It's case by case. If you're going to be in your home forever, then possibly that might be the right decision for you. And I want you to think of this as a really important decision on the future resale of your home. So if you have any questions or just want to talk it out, please feel free to call me at our office. I would love to discuss it with you.